Hi, thanks for joining me today. This video is going to focus on some movements for both hip mobility and hip stability. It's important to have a balance between the two. So we're going to start with a little movement for the hips. So if you have something to sit up on, I'm sitting up on a little folded up blanket right now. Have that for later, but right now, come onto your mat, just kind of scoot the blanket behind you if you have one to sit on, and then bring the soles of the feet together out in front of you and have a nice distance between your sit bones and your heels in this position. So we're going to do a little movement for the hips to start with. Fingertips behind. As you press into the fingertips, think of lengthening up through the crown of the head. So we keep a nice length in the spine, so we don't want to be collapsing back here. So think of nice length up. And then bring your right leg up and over to meet the left, getting a little stretch in the outside of the right hip, and then open back up, and then bring your left leg up and over to meet your right. So imagine that you're opening and closing a book here. So just shifting the legs side to side, which starts to get a little movement in the hips, warming up the hips a little bit. You also feel a little massage across the seat bones, so we can feel where the base of the pelvis is as we move. If you'd like, you can add a little twist by as the knees go one direction, you can look over the opposite shoulder and then open back up, switching sides. So do that one more time each side. Then notice differences between the hips if one feels tighter than the other, and then come back to center for a moment. Lift your sit bones back up onto the edge of your blanket. Bring the soles of the feet together. Still, again, a good distance from the hips, and just let the knees just release down. Your knees may be up here, that's fine, but just let them release where they release to, keeping that nice length in your spine. Focus on your breath for a moment or two. You can close the eyes if you'd like. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Every time you inhale, think of the spine lengthening, and as you exhale, just see if you can let the legs get a little heavier. And then very gently let the eyes open. Hands to the outside of the knees, just bring the legs back together, and then coming to all fours, come to table pose. So just move your blanket or cushion out of the way. Coming to all fours, we do a little warm up for the spine here. So spreading the fingers wide so the wrists are below the shoulders and the knees are below the hips. Crown of the head lengthening forward. So we're not letting the head collapse down, but we're also not craning and looking up. We will go in and out of those movements in our cat and cow, warming up the spine. But for right now, just find neutral. Think of drawing that lower belly in and up. Think of pressing away from the mat. Inhale and exhale. And then send your sit bones back, lengthen the front of the body, take the gaze forward and up into our cow pose. Nice extension for the spine, and then pressing into the hands and the feet, round the spine into flexion, taking the gaze towards the belly button. So keep that going, moving with the breath. Inhale and exhale. Good. Couple more times here. Find that flow with your breath. Inhale and exhale. Good. Once more, inhaling and exhale. After this exhale, come back to neutral, back to table pose, and then bringing awareness to the hands. Let's extend the right leg back. Press through the heel. Make sure the wrists are under the shoulders. Press into the top of your left foot to keep the alignment of the pelvis, and lift the right leg to hip height. So as you lift the leg up, again, keep the hips parallel, the pelvis level. So we don't want to let the hip hike up. Think of the big toes, the big toe of that right foot aiming down towards the mat. So we're spiraling that thigh inward. So we're engaging the muscles in the leg. And then if you'd like, you can reach that left arm forward. Inhale and exhale. Press back through that right heel. Make sure you're breathing. Creating a little stability now for the hips. And then bring the left hand down, the right leg down. Once again, exhale, round to your cat pose. Inhale, send the sit bones back. Lengthening the front of the body, take the gaze forward and up to into cow once more with cat pose, and then come back again, neutral position for the spine. Now slide that left leg back. So left heel pressing back, toes to the mat to start with. Press into the top of the right foot. That's going to keep that stability in the pelvis. Lift the left leg again just to hip height. And notice, as I just noticed, if you lift the leg up and you feel like you're drifting over to the right, really think of pressing into that right foot, top of that right foot, press back through that right heel. So we're strengthening the leg that's lifted, but we're also strengthening the leg that's supporting us. So if it starts to wing off to the side, then you're losing that alignment in the pelvis. Length through the crown of the head, make sure you're breathing. Inhale and exhale. And then if you'd like, extend that right arm forward. If that affects your breath, then keep your right hand, on the mat. Another breath here, inhale and exhale, and then bringing that right hand down, a left leg down. This time, hands in front of the shoulders, press into the fingertips, base of the knuckles, curl the toes under, send your sit bones up and back, come to a bent knee, downward facing dog. So find that nice length in your spine, press into the fingertips, base of the knuckles. Nice, even, steady breath. Inhale and exhale. And then slowly pedal the feet, press down through one heel, get a nice stretch on the back of that leg. Take an inhale and exhale. And then bend that knee once again, straighten the opposite leg. Another breath, inhale and exhale. And now bending both knees once again, and then gently straighten both legs, press through the heels. Not important or even necessary that the heels touch the floor, but just feel that nice stretch down the backs of the legs. And then inhale, lift the right leg up to a three-legged dog. So same thing as we did on our fours. Keep those toes pointing down. Don't let those hips shift side to side. And then look towards the hands. Bend the knee around the spine. So really draw it up towards the chest, and then step it all the way up to the right hand. Lower the left knee down and uncurl the toes. Press into the feet. Make sure your right heel is under the knee. Float the arms all the way up and overhead. Exhale, both hands down to the mat. And then we're going to bring both hands to the inside of the right foot. So if you have blocks, yoga blocks or a stack of books or even a small stool or chair, if you're feeling a lot of sensation in that right hip and you want to feel less sensation, then you lift the mat up to you by using something underneath the hands. So again, that is totally optional, but make sure you feel what I call the Goldilocks sensation. Not too much stretch in that right hip, not too little, just right. So the right knee's hugging towards the right shoulder. And again, maybe hands are on blocks. I think I will actually use blocks for me today for this right hip. Inhale and exhale. So hug that right knee in. Make sure you're breathing. Think of lengthening through the crown of the head. Inhaling and exhaling. And then we can bring a little element of strength here to this pose if we like by curling the back toes under and lifting the back knee. Again, think of really hugging that right knee in towards that upper arm. Inhale and exhale. Good. And then very gently release that left knee back down if you have that knee lifted. Keep the toes curled under and take the right toes and just turn the toes towards the front corner of your mat, just kind of pivoting on that heel. So taking that look, you could just pivot on the heel and aim the toes towards that front right corner of the mat. And then if you'd like, you can open that right knee a little to the side, feel a little stretch in that inner thigh. Maybe turn and look over that right shoulder, feel that stretch in the left, outside of that left hip. Inhale and exhale. Again, find a place, there's different variations here, so find the place that feels best for you. And then come back again to center. Bring the right toes so they point back forward. Bring the right hand to the outside of that right foot. If you were using your props, your blocks or books, just move them out of the way. Lift the back knee, step the right leg back beside the left, come to your downward facing dog, pedal through the feet. Notice any difference between the right hip and the left hip. We were just asking that right hip to do a lot of work, so see how it feels. And then once again, come to stillness, either with the knees a little bent or legs straight. And then we're going to do that same sequence second side. So think of dropping that right heel down. Again, it doesn't have to touch the mat at all, but lift the left leg up just like we did when we were on all fours. So we're really making sure those hips aren't winging to the side, toes pointing down, and then looking towards the hands. Bend that left knee around the back, draw it up towards the chest, and then step it all the way up beside the left hand. Lower the right knee down, uncurl the toes. Pressing in to both feet. Inhale and exhale. And then float the arms all the way up and overhead this side. Exhale, both hands down to the mat. Bring that left hand to the inside. Again, use your blocks here if you would like. Inhale and exhale. So hugging that left knee towards that left upper arm or shoulder, wherever it's making connection. Keep lengthening through the crown of the head. And then option, if you'd like, for a little bit more sensation and a little bit more stability, curl the toes under, a little bit more strength. Lift the back knee, press through the heel. So we're still thinking of drawing this left hip back, and we're making sure as we lift that back leg, we're not letting those hips swing to the side, and we're keeping that stability. Inhale and exhale. And then release that right knee back down, and then option, if you'd like, turn the left toes towards the left front corner of the mat, and then open that left knee again a little out to the side. You can stay right there, or maybe turn and look over your left shoulder. Feel that stretch in the outside of the right hip and up the side of the body. Inhale and exhale. And then gently again come back to center. Bring the left foot again so the toes point back in front, back towards the front of the mat. And then just if you were using props, just move those out of the way. Bring the left hand back to the outside of the left foot. And then curling the back toes under, lift the back knee, step that left leg again back beside the right. Come to your downward facing dog again. Maybe pedal through the feet if you'd like. Inhale and exhale. And then release the knees back down to the mat. Come to your table pose. Wrist under shoulders again, knees under hips. Exhale, round the spine to that cat pose. Inhale, send the sit bones back, lengthening the front of the body. Take the gaze forward and up into our cow. Once again, exhale and inhale. And then this time, as you exhale, round the spine, fold all the way back to child pose. Hips towards the heels, forehead towards the mat. Press into the hands and the feet. Inhale, come back up to your table pose. And now this time, bring big toes together, knees towards the outside edges of the mat, hands towards the outside edges. Send your hips back towards your heels. Bring the forehead again down to the mat. This time we'll stay here in a wide knee child pose. So a little stretch again. Inner thighs, outer hips. Breathing into the back of the body, full inhales and exhales. Another breath. And then press into the hands. Inhale, come up to your table pose once again. Knees underneath the hips, wrist under the shoulders. And then just swing the feet off to the side. We're going to come back to that seated position. So whatever you had earlier to sit on, go ahead and bring your sit bones up onto the edge of that. Come back to that butterfly or cobbler's pose, soles of the feet together, knees to the outside. And just notice, just kind of settle in here. And notice where it feels comfortable to bring the feet now. They may be a little closer to the hips, maybe not, that's okay. But just notice if that little sequence, kind of warmed up the hips a little bit, maybe got a little bit of a release there. And then also, again, always focusing on that balance, finding strength too. So we'll just take a couple breaths here, maybe close the eyes once again. Find that nice length in your spine. Inhale, think of lengthening from the tip of the tailbone all the way up to the crown of the head. And as you exhale again, think of maybe seeing if the legs can get a little heavier while the spine stays long. Inhaling and exhaling. Again, awareness to your breath. And then very gently, as you're ready, let the eyes open. And then just bring your legs into a comfortable cross-legged position. And again, just pausing for a moment. Feel that nice length in your spine. Awareness again to the breath. Inhale and exhale. So thank you so much for joining me today. Again, a short sequence that involves a little bit of movement for the hips, creating a little warmth, a little bit more mobility, and maybe some of the areas that were tight, but then also balancing it with those poses that help to strengthen and stabilize the hips too, because we want to have that balance between mobility and stability for our hips. So thank you so much for joining me. Thanks again for all of your comments. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Subscribe to my channel, please. And if you'd like to check out more information about my website, the information is down in the comment and information section below. So have a great day, and I hope to see you sometime soon in the saddle or on the mat. Thanks. Bye-bye.